I'm planning to prepare for CFA Level 1.
Okay.
So how do I prepare for it?
As I'm a IT professional, so how can I manage my time? Like I'm working for 8 to 9 hours, so like the time won't.
I'm surprised it's only 8 to 9 hours in IT.
I'm a BCom student, sir. I have my semester exams and my classes. Only 8 hours classes, sir. How can I manage my hours?
Yeah, so
This topic need to be studied in a certain way. Like,
that is a flow. That is an order in which if you study, it is a lot easier.
so you told about the 6-month preparation for the exams.
Yeah.
The first 3 months you told briefly. Can I know about the rest 3 months?
Yeah, so in total you need to allocate 6 months, right? So the first 3 months what we call as understanding the material, right? The next 3 months comes in about solving problems, reinforcing what you learned, revising, etc.
Okay.
So the first 3 months you're looking through content, our videos, all of that, getting the concepts in your mind, and then we come into the practice problem set. So
Okay.
if you enter the CFA resource for students online, there are almost 3,000 plus questions available for us. So for each of the topics we discussed, we will have to practice problems and go back and review the content that you already have studied. So we talked about studying for 1 month, the first 3 topics, 4 topics, the second month, etc. When you did that, you would have also created flashcards. This is very important. So you go back and review that. So that is what the next 3 months is about. It's a lot of practice. And the last 45 days is going to be about taking mock exams, sitting through that entire session, 4-hour session. So recreating that experience before the actual test.
So back in when I was preparing for CFA Level 1, after preparing for the first 3 months, when I had to come back to revise the whole syllabus, I found it very difficult, So I kind of like forgot many things. So what should I do? Like, how should I do it in CFA Level 2?
Yeah, this is very common, right? So that is a remembrance curve, and there's also what happens in terms of our long-term memory, how we forget things, right? We need to move things from our short-term memory to long-term memory. So that's why at FinTrainers we highly recommend, like when you are studying new material, you go back and revise old material that you have studied. So when we talked about the first 3 months of prep, so we will teach new content. But at the end of every fortnight, we will spend one complete session to revise what we have already studied. So when we keep revising, so my typical principle is whatever content you have studied, you need to revise it at least 3 times before the exams. Whenever we do this, the short-term memory that we gain gets imprinted into the long-term memory. So the day of exam, all of this is stored in the long-term repository and we don't forget things. So the retention rate is very high if we do this constant revision rather than keeping the revision for the last 1 month.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. There are like so many questions there. So what kind of questions should we solve?
Yeah, so that's a good question, right? So in total, I think, so FinTrainers, we give almost 2,000 questions for you all to prepare for each level. CFA has, as I said, almost 3,000 questions. And then obviously the end of chapter questions, those are very important. See, the end of chapter questions is crucial. In my mind, the CFA's end of chapter question is more about understanding the concept. It is not a representation of how the exam questions is going to be like, because they will ask you to talk about theory and all that. It might not be even MCQ format, right? Whereas the CFA Resource Center gives you the questions that will be reflective of what is going to come in the exams. See, use our question bank as much as possible initially, because that we will also be able to guide you better. We would have solved problems that are related to that. And then in the last 1.5 months, as you take mocks, use CFA resources. both simultaneously. Last 1.5 months has to be CFA resource based practice. Hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah.
So we will continue this one. The next video we're going to shoot is about how to use your calculator. Very important. One of the mistakes the students do is not using the calculator, and when they take the calculator to the exam hall, they don't know how to use this, and it becomes a real big challenge. All right. So don't use your Excel or anything to calculate. Use the financial calculator. So we will have a separate session on how to use this calculator.